Electrohypersensitivity is a functional impairment, and it is thus defined by each person that has it. And that means that all functional impairments are private and personal. And of course, electrohypersensitivity is best understood as a sensitivity towards the electromagnetic modern society.
¿Quieres añadir algo?
Bueno, que estamos investigando si las personas con sensibilidad química, electromagnética en este caso, tienen unas deficiencias personales que las hacen ser diferentes. Yo estoy de acuerdo en que hay diferencias personales, pero estas diferencias personales podríamos detectar cuáles son y de esta manera poder prevenir en cada ser humano si se va a volver cada día más sensible o podemos parar esta sensibilidad. Yo creo que en el campo de la investigación esta es una pregunta crucial. En este campo, el que más lo ha estudiado un investigador Belcom, que está planteando si la deficiencia de vitamina D sería un factor de riesgo para ser más sensible electromagnéticamente.
Oh, that's a very good question. I think the level of warning would be to have a moratorium, meaning that maybe we should be very careful to introduce further radiation sources and immediately also come up with biologically based exposure standards, and in parallel immediately start to replicate all these studies to see how serious they actually are. And so far very little is done, and for instance in Sweden it's more or less impossible to get any funding for any further scientific studies. And in parallel to this, the rollout is enormous. More and more new gadgets are introduced on the market. And this is very odd, because if you would have, as I showed in my lecture, genotoxic effects for a potential pharmaceutical drug, for instance, it would immediately be prohibited. It would be stopped directly.
Doctora Valls, ¿quiere añadir algo?
Bueno, en otro sentido, para mí uno de los problemas más graves es el que está afectando el poder cognitivo de las nuevas generaciones y de los niños. Por eso apoyo el que se acabe con el wifi en las escuelas, porque es un tema grave. Ahora sabemos que es cierto que estas exposiciones a campos magnéticos alteran a los neurotransmisores para que no puedan, y se altera el poder cognitivo. Pues si nuestros hijos e hijas cada día van a tener lo peor, además del efecto genotóxico que existe, creo que el efecto sobre los neurotransmisores no se puede negar. Y el síndrome de hiperactividad, que tanto estamos tratando, medicando con sustancias químicas, lo estamos estimulando con los campos electromagnéticos.
Could I just add that I am personally very surprised that society doesn't do very much at all. It just continues with this gigantic whole body 24/7 experiment. And I have written to, for instance, the Swedish government and parliament and asked them for all the proofs they must have to ensure the population that this is completely safe. And so far I have got nothing in return. That's very enigmatic, to be honest. I just don't understand that, because on the table is such a massive number of scientific reports and publications clearly pointing to that these kind of artificial electromagnetic fields are very hazardous, and it seems to be an ongoing party, and no one wants to kind of step off this train. It's running on and running on, and for me it's strange, and especially since we don't talk about the life necessity, but we are talking about choice.
Para mí hay un conflicto de intereses, claro. El conflicto de intereses se está notando en cómo se rompen líneas de investigación. De todas maneras, hay una línea de investigación potente abierta a nivel europeo, que es el que está colaborando aquí en Cataluña, en INIM, y pienso que saldrá alguna luz del efecto, en este caso en concreto solo de los móviles y riesgo de cáncer. Pero al menos la OMS ha tomado decisiones. Yo creo que influyó mucho el documento Bioinitiative que impulsó el Doctor Johansson. Es un documento muy importante.
Just to partly answer your question, in Sweden, the foremost expert saying that all this radiation is safe, Professor Anders Ahlbom, was some years ago revealed to, in parallel, have worked for the telecom industry. And that was a big scandal in Sweden, and it took the World Health Organization just a few hours to sack him, and 1 week after that, radiofrequent fields were cancer classified by the World Health Organization. And I do hope that we have learned a little bit more. For a scientist, the classical scandal is, of course, the tobacco scandal. And as a scientist and a citizen, you hope that mankind has learned. But it seems that we never learn. It's always the greed, the profit, the money that rules the world. And as I said before, hopefully I'm completely wrong. Hopefully it will turn out to be safe. Then, of course, the number of publications that need to be wrong at the same time is very, very big, and that has never happened before. I mean, as a parent, what you always can do is, as I said before, just to say no, and to inform yourself, read, think, read again, and of course also write to and contact your people in power, like politicians in government, parliament, health authorities, and have an active public debate. And of course, hopefully, someone will pick up on this. And I see that countries and companies are very interested in the issues because around the corner you have the possibility to develop tomorrow's green, human-friendly technology. And just imagine to sell all the world's computers and mobile phones in a human-friendly fashion once more. That country would be extremely happy and rich. So there is such a movement in parallel, and people are trying to investigate and invent solutions of a more general nature. But I often feel that we are not, and that goes for animals and for plants, we are not built for being irradiated with this kind of radiation, and we have to accept that. And as I said also in my lecture, there is no drama in having, for instance, internet in a shielded, wired way. You get the same type of internet information, the same type of adult movies, the same type of games and whatever. You get all the crap the same way, you know. So it's no difference. And of course, computer manufacturers as well as cable manufacturers will be very happy if we would leave the wireless society and go back to a wired society. So there is always a profit that drives these issues.
Estoy de acuerdo. Lo básico es que todas las comunicaciones que podamos por cable, no wifi, para proteger a los hijos, no wifi en las escuelas, no wifi en casa, y además a luchar socialmente para que cambien las leyes y apantallar las personas que tengan problemas de salud en concreto. Si no, creamos una angustia social que tampoco se corresponde, porque vamos a irradiarnos en cualquier sitio, o sea que no podemos apantallarnos totalmente. Pero hay personas que están enfermas gravemente o no tan gravemente, pero que se encuentran mal, pues estas tendrán que tomar unas medidas concretas en sus casas. Pero la lucha debe ser social y los datos por cable.
Muchas gracias.